everything.
Alright guys, so we are back in part 4 of the Make a Personal Portfolio. I apologize, it's been about a year since I've done part 4 and part 5, but we're finally here. It's been a long wait, but I did finally get around to it. So last 3 videos, we did this menu, we did this page, we did our buttons, we did a little About Me section, and then I think we stopped there. Now what we're going to be doing in this video is I already have these divs out here, and if I apologize, some of this may be repeat. It's been, like I said, about a year, but we just have these 2 empty divs here. Let's zoom in a little bit. And in our CSS, we actually have just backgrounds applied to them. So let's see, we have page 3 here, a background URL, and then with background size, so it covers the from left to right, fills the spot. And in this case, we have, for the time being, we have a some height. We just say, look, we want it to be 1200 pixels, and we have some padding of about 5%. Now, as we move forward, when we refine this, we will, of course, clean that up as well. What we're going to do right now is we're actually going to go ahead and add some icons to this to begin with. To do that, we're going to actually use Font Awesome. If you're not familiar with Font Awesome, they are a great tool to utilize. I'm going to go ahead and you'll post the link right here. And typically, we'd have all this actually in the head here. But we can go ahead and just throw it up like so. So we're going to embed this link right here. Why does this say header? It should actually be head. I'll believe it. It seems to be working. So we're going to actually embed this link. You'll see that we have these Font Awesome icons. Now, what is this? Let's go ahead and pull up Font Awesome real quick, just so you can kind of see the resources that are available. These are all free. Hundreds of different icons that you can do various things with. Free code camps. Hey, I didn't know that. So free code camps, one of the new ones. So, you know, God bless Font Awesome. Go ahead and donate to this guy. Got 1,813% funded for 1,000 plus more icons. God bless you, man. Good luck. But yeah, so pretty straightforward. You click on the stuff and then you get an icon with a little bit of details. So let's go ahead and show you how we do the one for Twitter. We're going to jump into our buttons here, like so. And you'll see we have our anchor tag already set up right here. And these, again, are just basic buttons that are styled from Bootstrap. And in between there, we're going to go ahead and insert this I class. This fa Twitter. So this is the... Fa is basically the default icon and styling, and then fa Twitter is the name of the icon that we're inserting, and then fa-lg is we're gonna have a large version. So all these icons come in various sizes. I personally thought that the Font Awesome icon large fit with nice sizing. So you'll see right there, it's right next to it. We already have the Twitter icon in there. We want to give a little bit of spacing just so that we can, when we save it, looks much better. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for GitHub. And this aria hidden is equal to true. It's just, you can have that in there or not in there. By default, it's in there. We're going to do the same thing again for LinkedIn. And there's other icons out there. Font Awesome is my personal favorite. I believe Bootstrap itself has some Angular material. A lot of libraries will have a lot of basic, like very basic icons available at all times. So let's go ahead and save that. And now when we look, you'll see we have all these icons. Let's go ahead and put space on that. And while we're at it, let's change our settings here so this doesn't auto run. Save it, run it. Cool, so that's looking all right, but it's a lot of blue going on in there. And you'll notice that each one of these already have some IDs. So the plan here is to style it. Each one of these is a unique ID because that's just how we did it at the end of the day. We're going to actually end up reusing that. So this would probably be better to be a class, but we'll worry about that later on. Just kind of work our way through it. So let's go ahead and pull up our CSS. And we have Twitter first, and that's Twitter icon. Again, icon classes IDs are denoted by the hashtag. So we're gonna have Twitter icon. And these are all, I got all these colors from some website a while back. I wish I could say who it was. I always like to give credit, but it's been so long. But now let's go ahead and save it and run it. And you'll see that that's the Twitter blue. Cool. Next thing we're going to do is just go ahead and do the same thing for GitHub. And I called that GitHub icon. This is again going to be a color. We're going to throw RGB in there. But you get the idea. We're basically just styling the buttons at this point. So this will now be the correct purple. Oh, excuse me, I put the wrong color in there. So this will be purple. And then just for the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and copy pasta the rest of these in here as well. Save that and run. And now we have these beautiful styled buttons with the icons going on our page here. Now, there's a little bit too much spacing going on here. Originally, when I did this, I did 1200 pixels per section. That's way too much. So let's go ahead and see what I ended up doing. I think I ended up using a flat percent of like 5%, something like that for each section. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my page 1 here. And yeah, I just put padding on there instead of actually setting a height. So let's scroll down to page 1. This is page 1, this entire background. And we have a height of 1200 px. Now if we just remove this and run it, it's going to be ugly and it's going to be on the bottom. We don't want that. We want a little bit of padding. So we want padding only on the bottom. So we just do padding dash bottom, and then I decided 10% was pretty solid. Let's go ahead and run that like so. And then there we go. So we have this nice centered piece here with our icons, good amount of spacing. We have our about page. And while we're at it, we might as well change each one of these to jump to it. So if you remember, we actually set our class page 2 here. We actually should probably make these IDs. So we're going to give this an ID of P2. ID is equal to P2. And the reason we're going to do this is to showcase how when we click on one of these links, we can jump to the section. So About Me, let's go ahead and find About Me in our menu. The anchor tag, we're going to go ahead and give this an ID, and we're going to set this equal to, excuse me, we don't need an ID. This hashtag, we're going to put P2. So ID P2, run this, and now when we click on the About Me section, it's actually going to jump to the div, like so. And we're going to go ahead and apply that same functionality to everything else. So I believe portfolio is P3. So that we'll just put hashtag P3. And then contact me was P4. And we're going to jump down to our divs. So we have page 2, P2. And then we have page 3. And we're going to just give this ID equal to P3. And then same thing for P4, give it an ID as well. P4. So we're basically just setting our anchor tag to jump to the section that we wanted to jump to. So this is empty, obviously, and so is this one. But we're going to work on that right now. So far we have this nice styling. Let me make sure I'm not leaving anything out. Cool. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to just put a nice little header here. I'm a big fan of like headers and subheaders, just because I think it makes a statement, but you don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. So we have this padding top class. Let me go ahead and pull it up real quick. Where's our padding top class? Page 1, page 2. Padding top. So right here, it just adds a little bit of padding, this class we created here, and we're actually going to apply that to our div. So we're going to create a div within here. And we're just going to say, I'm going to set this equal to padding top. Let's go ahead and throw a div in here. And we're going to put an h1 in here, and it's going to be centered because we're inheriting it from this text center class, which is a bootstrap class. It basically centers text unless something interferes with it. And we're just going to put something like next level portfolio. And then we'll put a h2 tag in there as well. And we'll say something like portfolio best above the rest. When I originally did this, because this part was actually partially done a year ago, I must have really been feeling myself to do something like that. So we have this nice little bit of padding and everything's looking pretty solid. We have our intro here. Now, how do we want to actually display it? Well, the way I did it was actually embedded the code pin so that people could view the result, go to the code pin page, and then from there, they could go ahead and view the CSS, the HTML, and I'll show you how you can do that within CodePen right now. But before we do that, we're actually going to go ahead and create this div class row. We're going to make it so that if it kind of organizes correctly. So Bootstrap works off this grid column system. It's basically you set up some divs in rows and then the amount of columns that you want in each one. In our case, we're going to have 2 items per row, and we're going to say it's about the medium size, so we're going to break those up into 6s. Remember, Bootstrap's grid system is based off of 12, so 2 would be 6, which is why we're going to set this up before we do anything right now. Now, as we exit here, we're going to go ahead and pull up our pins in another window so I can show you the process of finding one. In our example, we will pull up the... what do we want to pull up? We want to pull up the Twitch JSON API, something that I recently fixed in other videos. So we'll see that this is working. In the bottom right corner, there's this embed link. And what we're going to want to do is unclick everything, and then we're going to have just the result like so. And then we're going to copy this text. It's going to have HTML recommended. Go ahead and copy that text. And we jump back in right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to paste this in here like so. And if you wanted it to be taller, for instance, let's go ahead and save this. And then we can run it and you'll see how tall it is. Now there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You could actually just do simple images, take screenshots. I personally prefer this. Now, I don't necessarily like how it shows a limited amount, so we're going to actually change the height of this. But you'll notice how it's taking up half of our width here, which is great, which is exactly what we actually wanted to do. Now, when we go back to here, there's this data height. We're actually just going to go ahead and change that to 450. We're going to save that. We're going to run this as well. Scroll down here. And then bam, we have a little bit more so people can kind of see what's going on. But you notice now that we're a little bit worried that when we add several rows of these, that there might be an issue. So let's go back to our page 3, and we're going to kind of fix the bad stuff that I did beforehand, where we set this height. We're instead just going to add padding dash top 5%, and we're going to add padding dash bottom 5%. And for the sake of the video, since we all know now how to just inject this, we're going to do the same thing for this other div. And obviously you're going to have different things and the different sections. But what I did was I ended up putting an anchor tag here, and I just set it equal to wherever this project was located, like so. So we can go ahead and copy this from here. I actually used the full screen page. If you're not quite sure how to get to the full screen, you can go chain view, full page. And then this was the page that I ended up going to. And so right here, and I set target equal to blank, so it'll open up in a new window. Let's go ahead and close this now. And then within here, I actually just did an H1 tag for each one of these. And this is basically just the name of the project, so they could click it easily enough. So in this case, it was Twitch. Oops, not which. Twitch JSON or Twitch API project. Let's go ahead and save that. Let's go ahead and run it. And you'll see now when we scroll down. Now these are actually pretty intensive, so it takes a second to load. But you see we have this nice big link here. H1 might be a little bit big, so let's go ahead and like maybe bring that back to like an H3. We can go ahead and change that real quick to about an H3 and another H3. Save that. And we'll go ahead and put this in this as well. I believe in the example originally they had 6 different ones. So we're just going to go ahead and copy over from the row on. So each one of these is going to have its own row. Let's see, we have div class, div. Okay. So right here, that's 1 and 2. And now when we save it, we can go ahead and run it. And we should have 6 of these in here. Now, because of how we're doing this, it's actually going to take a little second to load, but not too bad. Then when we click this, it'll open up in a new window. Again, you're going to have all these be different things. What can we do to kind of clean this up a little bit? We don't necessarily like it on the sides. This is a matter of preference. Some people do like that. Some people don't. Container, page 3, text center. So we're going to do div class, page 3, and we're going to throw container in there. It's either container or container fluid. Takes me a second to remember. So let's see. Okay, so you saw how this got brought in. That's nice, but we actually don't want the background to get brought in, so we just got to change up where we put that in there. And so let's just go down to our page 3. Got this container. Container fluid will bring things all the way to the edge. Now, that works sometimes. In our example, I think we're adding a little bit too much. What's the word I'm looking for? So let's go ahead and run this, and this might work, so you can kind of see what's going on. So that's not centering anymore. That's interesting. We'll worry about that later. I believe we can probably do something like this. Let's go ahead and test. Now this isn't something that I did in my video, so this is exactly how, or in my example, how I would test for something like this. Or actually, we can just test with 2, and it should work, or it won't work. We don't need to go ahead and go through all that. So we'll throw this row. That's 1, and that's 2. Control C. Go ahead and, or Control X. Put that in there. Control V. Save it. Run it. So there we go. It's a little bit centered now. We just had to throw it in its own div. And seemed to work just fine. So let's go ahead and do that as well. We'll bring these into the center a little bit. It looks like OBS is not connecting very well. We are streaming this live as we record, so let's go ahead and do the same. We can just do a simple container like we did before. So we did that. There's that. I'm gonna do a div class equals container. Close the div, and then we'll go ahead and gut this. Control X, throw it in our container. And then we'll do it one more time for this last section. Save it and run it. Make sure everything's looking the way we want it to look. Pretty cool. Everything's going. We have our links underneath everything. Now, I noticed that there's a whole mess of stuff going on here. So why don't we go ahead and fix that on page 2. How we did it was padding dash bottom. We're going to add some padding, and we'll do padding dash bottom. We'll do 5%. Same as the top. So it's basically just going to stretch based on what we have. And then we see this image. Let's go ahead and run this so we can see what it's going to look like. You may want to add a circular image. I personally am not like a big fan of squares. So I believe I gave this an ID. Let's go ahead and find it. So we have class me. Let's go ahead and find that. Where is class me? Then we go ahead and do border dash radius. And I believe 50% will turn it into a circle. Just gonna run that. Cool. So it's a little bit cleaner. Again, it's all preference. In the next video, we're gonna do the last section. We're gonna add 5 buttons here. We're gonna add a footer, and we're gonna add our email and some contact information here. So look forward to that. Sorry for the delay on this, but I hope this guy's helped you as you continue to develop on. And again, this is just one way you can sort of display your projects. I personally think this is the best way, so people can go in and see your code and interact with it and see how great of a developer you are. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And a special thanks to you supporting me on Patreon. It's going above and beyond, and I appreciate it, guys. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching the video. Special thanks to our sponsor, Dev Mountain. Definitely check them out at devmountain.com. If you're looking for a bootcamp that's in front-end development, iOS, or UX, go ahead and give them a shot. Tuition includes housing, so you can get up and go and fully immerse yourself in the program. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.